we're probably in for a pretty fun match.
Even the players saying, have some fun, boys.
Yeah.
Because for this, as long as Mouz come away with a point in either a game this week or a game next week, depending on the outcome of our third game of the evening, it doesn't really matter for anyone here, honestly, other than seeding at the end of the season, which also doesn't have a great effect on anything, actually.
This is actually a rematch in regards to the map as well. They were known as Ents at the time when they played Penta, but it was a 6-6 draw on Oregon. The last two teams, the last time these teams met. Sometimes words are very difficult, but there we have it. So I had speculated originally that there wouldn't be a Ying ban, and there it is. And you got to imagine that's just solely to counter Hungry. He's I would say, and I think a lot of people would echo this sentiment, the best Ying player in the world. Hungry's trying to predict what's going to be banned. A nice try, but it's going to be a clash instead. You know that Penta runs a clash. She can be very strong on Oregon on every single site. That's a smart ban from Mouz. I like what we're seeing from both teams so far. It really comes down to what Penta chooses to ban as their final operator.
One of the most terrifying bans that hasn't been taken out yet is Capitao. Those new asphyxiating bolts make defending inside of the closet downstairs and defending a lot of those hard-held positions like top white a simulated hell, basically. You've got a lot of places that those asphyxiating bolts can cordon off and do a lot of significant damage onto anchors who like to play in those power pivot positions. We're going to go downstairs to start off on the defense here. Mira being taken out of the equation, no big shock. It is EU after all. They do despise the Mira. A Finka coming up from Slevin early on, I imagine that's a 6-pick, considering we have 0 hard breaches other than Mav, and you still have the availability of all 3. Hibana would make your life much more simple, but no, we're going to have, okay, we're sticking the Finka, and we're going Doke with Wilkie. No, there we go. Yeah, I was going to say Hibana would make your life a lot easier here, and there we go. We have a Hibana and a Mav, and we finally settle on the defensive lineup with a Maestro. Okay. Okay, the Finka. We've seen this before. We saw this on Wednesday in the Latin American matchups. Finka coming out. A map like Oregon, Finka will actually lend itself pretty handedly. I mean, it is a more aggressive map, tight corridors, close range engagements. At the end of the day, you know, the adrenal surge could be the difference between life and death in those chaotic instances. But as far as the rest of the setup is concerned, everything else seems pretty normal. I don't really see anything outside of a hard set meeting hold that is too abnormal. I mean, that's the way a lot of teams are going these days on Oregon. We used to see a lot of fluid roams. You'd have like the 2-1-2 setup, where you'd have 2 upstairs in kids and dorms, and then you have 1 downstairs by kitchen, and then 2 downstairs on site. It's like a full tower spawn here for Mouz, as they'll start things off with tower clear.
Those are fond memories of that Navi-Penta matchup that was also on Oregon. One of the more exciting matches, if not a bit of sloppiness to it from both teams in week number 8, in which it looked like Navi was going to win, and then I believe Penta stormed back. Oregon is just such an interesting map to watch teams play on. I know that the word stale gets brought out, but there's a lot of variances that teams have, and it comes down to individual fights, you know, ultimately winning the day for the most part. Both of these teams have a lot of players that can single-handedly turn the tide of a round. You know, you look at Sir Boss, you look at Blast, you look at, you know, Hungry on Penta's side as 3 major difference makers in a number of matches so far this season. You know, you've got Slevin, you've got Gomfy, and you even have Bonesy as well, who has picked a bit of a quieter set of roles as of late, but has, you know, almost completely won the series. You don't win the Sao Paulo championship that we saw, in, you know, when they were Ents, without Gomfy playing out of his mind at the time. Obviously helped that you had Kanto on the team too. But, you know, Bonesy was such an incredibly strong player that time around. First adrenal surge is going to come in from Mouz, who, like many teams nowadays, have taken over tower control. Great patience from Bonesy as he waits to see if somebody from Penta is going to go through the garage. Nobody takes the bait. Using the Maverick and Hibana combo, you saw an entry into Attic that was created by the Maverick, while the Hibana takes out the stage wall. It's going to leave Mouz in a position to possibly collapse on Meeting Hall, while Shate's all by himself in front lobby.
Yeah, the setup here for Mouz on the attacking side, it's been a little slow. No one really from Penta challenging. That's the difference maker, really. No one opting for a top floor roam for all that long, eventually dropping back down those meeting hatches, and a lot of reinforcements and utility utilized upstairs. Looks like Gomfi's going to drop down into box now and start the engagement as there's 50 seconds remaining. A lot of utility left on the side of Penta, and if those adrenal surges come out from Sleben, Hungry's toxic canisters will chew through them mighty quick. Still have Revan in place for the cardiac sensor as well. The ADS catching that flashbang that was sent down the halls. It looks like that is Wilkie pushing down the main hallway. We've also got one coming down main stairs now. That'll be Shate to fall at the hands of enemy. Playing up on top of the laundry bins, and there go the toxic babes coming out. A quick trade there for Sleben is actually Mouz will grab two and equalize. Sir Boss falling as well in the inherent spray. Plenty of LMGs all over the place. And the toxic babe will now be disseminated to go through the wall. Boonty collects another one onto the docket though as that's enemy to fall. And now it's all the diffuser down and Hungry left in a 1v3. Hits the nice headshot onto Wilkie and turning the corner. Sleben will be down as well. Finish off with the shotgun. It's down to the 1v1. Boonty against Hungry. Ping's coming out onto Boonty into the main hallway, but not fast enough as he's able to dart away and escape into box. Hungry now playing in default on the rotation point, and that is Boonty to clean that one up for Mouz. A hectic, chaotic, last-second desperation attempt there for Mouz, but the gunfights to go their way. Utility not enough to repel Mouz on the entry.
And if they hadn't cut down enemy who was playing on the hatch in Meeting Hall, very similar to what we saw from Joystick in our very first matchup of the day, it could have really come down to the flanking Jaeger literally winning the entire round for your team. I mentioned the fact that both of these teams have players who are capable of performing clutch, scenarios and performing in clutches no matter where they are, no matter who they are and what operators they're on. Hungry nearly doing the same thing, coming up against Bonesy. And as much as the Evil Eye was assisting the call, I think finding safe haven inside a box was your best bet as Bonesy, and he just needed to wait at that point. Hungry's not going to be that patient. He realizes that he's got half of the diffuser left to go. You're going to have to make a move at some point. It's 7 seconds to be able to get that diffuser, and even though it's going to be close to him, you can't just try and wait and bait out your opponent. So Mousesports is going to run with, well, a very similar lineup, except they're going to forego the Maverick this time.
Yeah, foregoing the Maverick is actually interesting considering the number of reinforcements that were utilized for this meeting setup. I guess you can still get the job done with Wilkie if he wants to utilize one of his set of X-Kairos, as the box hatch has always been unreinforced and opened up by Penta for possible rotations, and it's exactly what Hungry will do just now, and he'll drop down in the suit. So you still got Sir Boss ripping up the classroom walls as well for visibility for anyone peeking in through classroom down that laundry hatch into the laundry rotate. For the most part, though, it seems like a replication of the strategy here for Penta. They've just changed up one thing, and we've seen this before coming out from teams on Oregon. You reinforce this connector wall that Plas has just passed by. Try and isolate and protect your anchors holding in behind the box rotation.
I wonder what Gomfi just used his breaching round on, because you heard it very early, possibly over on tower side. The way that you saw the Maverick get used on the previous round was to open up Attic, but there really wasn't much of a presence from Penta in there. If Mouz isn't thinking that Penta's going to do the same thing, then you don't really need the Maverick, right? You better suited putting Gomfi on a more comfortable role for him, which is the Ashe, undoubtedly. Though Maverick is still a very strong operator for being able to get the kills that you need, right? So, Gomfi proving that he can excel on most roles. Revan dies very early. The Pulse getting a little bit too close to the sun there. Now you might also see Sleben capable of getting a kill onto the Jaeger from below. Enemy's going to be exposed here and might even just go for the jump out, but Bloss gets spotted. So Penta has 3 bodies over on the tower side of things. Enemy is next on deck. He spots the Finka rotating down below, but he's foiled by the bars. He'll get flashed out from Gomfi here and completely blind his enemy, who could end up finding himself in a very difficult position. But there's Sir Boss. You have an ACOG. Why don't you use it? Through the kitchen doorway, and we also saw the smoke on back tower stairs, which means that there's nobody on the site right now. Everybody from Penta is assembled on various parts of the map, none of whom are defending the actual bombs downstairs.
It's precarious here for Penta as they've invested a lot of bodies, obviously, and a lot of utility into challenging this tower. Takes Sir Boss, will chew through another one onto Bonesy, and now down the main stairs, Sir Boss in a contest against Shate outside of the front door. Pulling out a drone, though, the worst possible time, whipping at the bailiff, but Shate still able to win that out onto Sir Boss, putting an exclamation point on this tower hold. Enemy still locked inside of the rafters. He's gonna have to drop back down to T2 and move his way down. Looks like Mouz have identified that the site is completely clear. Hungry was able to retake back down main. This a very dangerous spot here for enemies. He's going to challenge against Sleben and win that out as well. The rotate from Mouz not quick enough as Wilkie's still trying to make it over to Garage. Shate locking this down. Inside a meeting now is Enemy playing behind sandbags.
Enemy is really a big force of why, a big credit in why Penta is doing as well as they are, because he's been able to kill so much time, and also Enemy, he's got two lined up! Oh, is he gonna get them both? Enemy just waiting for them to peek. He wins the fight inside a tower, he's able to get back to site, and oh my, not only is that a good gun in the hands of a good player, but it's Mouz, unable to dig Enemy out of his location, and he's going to keep that round from falling by the wayside. That control on tower, being able to hold that, all the utility that seemed to be expended, and nobody from Mouz was able to take out the Jaeger. And you lost a body playing on Repel. Sirboss goes into the dining hall, breaks the door, and then kills one on Repel as well. You could possibly have two people swing into tower to confront the Jaeger and hope that he's not able to get both of you at the same time, but Mouz had a bit of apprehension, and ultimately that apprehension cost them quite a bit. We say this after Mouz seemed to have everything going in their favor. They got two very early picks onto both Blas and Revan, who seemed to feed themselves to Mouz, almost needlessly taking confrontations they didn't need to, and Mouz still struggled. They really struggled in that mid-round. It ended up being a killer for them. And then it just came down to Sirboss and Enemy all over the map, with Hungry not really much of a factor, just sitting on the site. Now,
yeah, that round, sorry, I didn't cut you off there, but this tower hold, because now we see Penta converting into a tower defense on top of that. That tower hold lost two bodies for Penta, and there's two ideologies you can go from there. It's either, okay, screw this, we've lost too much, we need to peel back and just try and hold site as we can. Or you drive headstrong into the storm. You steer into the skid and say, screw it, we're sending 5. Typically, like 90% of the time, you're going to see the remaining 3 members try and bail at a tower, get back to site, hold down the objective. And that time around, Penta was the one. Penta was the one in a million who said, you know what, all 5 members, let's go. Evacuate site, we're going to lock down tower, we're going to continue to fight this until the very bitter end. And Sirboss was instrumental in flanking all the way over to dining door and up towards the top armory window to be able to complete that task.
That's the way that tower typically works, right? Is that the way that you'll see tower happen is that you'll take until the very final moments, and then you'll begin to push in, and you usually have such a lead at that point that you can go for the plant. The problem is that where most teams do plant that default just by the generator, it's usually in a position where if you're defending on that second floor of tower, you have the soft wall at your disposal to shoot through them. Find yourself in a very good position as defenders to be able to hold out, even when you're facing really tough odds and a numbers disadvantage. Mouz is probably going to struggle on this third tower floor yet again. You mentioned that, and it's true. You saw how much trouble Mouz had. This is a great call from Penta to go over to tower based on what they saw. Now, tower is still a site that for most teams is not as defendable as Kid Storm's on the other part of the second floor, just on the other side of the building. But for the time being, a minute 40, Penta's surviving the storm. You've seen Gomfi taking quite a bit of lumps. Wilkie's taking some damage too. And Blas has taken damage as well. But Blas is on the move. Nobody seems to have pinned him down. We'll go to the highway window, possibly see if somebody from Mouz is there, but there's nobody. So he, at some point, will likely have to find his way back. The real question is what's going on with Attic? Is there an opportunity for the defenders to be able to roam and be able to get back on in?
Looks like Enemy is going to be continuously taking fights while his whole mission is to survive. The other members of Penta around him, similarly to the last round, are taking damage, but they are not falling. They're actually dealing out a decent amount of damage onto the Mouz attackers as well. And Enemy, while stunned, will take the shot onto Wilkie and drop him on the rooftops. Gomfi with an immediate trade onto Hungry, though, so there goes your smoke downstairs. Good news is that Enemy is still at 100 HP, up in T3, hasn't taken a single point of damage, and now there's going to repel into T3. While concussed, Sleben hits the shots. Enemy will fall. That's T3 surrendered by Penta. And now on the defense, they're going to lose another one. Sleben just tacking on. It's all snowballing here for Penta Sports as Sirboss and Blas need to retake back into the objective. They won't have T3 control. Recovering the diffuser is Gomfi as he's going to head topside into T2 windows. Blas, though, attempted retake here at the T2 window as it'll nail a shot onto Bonesy. Plant going down from Gomfi, though, and all they have to do is watch the stairs. Blas coming in through Attic. You've got Sirboss down below. on the main tower stairs. Shate still holding from T3 will be the difference maker. If someone can hit a shot onto him up 2 levels, Boonsey grabs 1, looking to collect 2. Shate wraps it up with a nice little bow, and that's Mouz taking a much better, much more resilient tower take on that round.
The reason why it seemed that Enemy was so surprised at the rappel on in was that the Zofia concussion hit him at the exact time that the rappel happened. And as anybody who plays an operator on defense knows, not only is it a disorienting blast, but it also affects your hearing. Whether that was deliberate or not, I would assume it was. Very good call from Mouz to be able to put that together, because you allowed the rappel on in from the Hibana, and Sleben just got the kill. Despite that, with how much of a train that 416 hits, it was still a very close fight, and Enemy almost won it. But that coordination from Mouz really, really mattered. And they did it without smokes. They did it without the logic bombs as well, because Wilkie died early. Enemy had actually 2 good looks at Wilkie from the top of T3 to be able to get him. But I think he was just fearing the angle, or might not have even seen him on a quick pass by onto the roof. So knowing what they knew about Mouz on that second round, I still think it was a good call to go to tower, but you saw exactly what happens when you lose tower. There's no retake. You can maybe come from attic, but it's being covered because you have a numbers advantage on Mouz's side. They're looking at every possible way in. And not only do you have to hit your shots as a defender, but you have to hit them with the height advantage being in favor of your opponents. You're going to be aiming for a much smaller target than they're going to be aiming, and not everybody can possibly do that under a lot of pressure. It was very routine from Mouz to be able to hold it out in the final 10 seconds there. And then when the plant goes down, it was a good place to plant, because you usually see people walk in through the doorway and plant by generator, like I said. But you've got full control, and you've also got the sight to be able to see any possible retake onto that second floor tower. Really well played from Mouz in the dying seconds of the round, and good coordination that led to that control, as we said, onto Enemy above.
So for now, it's Penta refocusing in towards top floor, going to kids and dorms, and this is the more logical call that people would have expected, but easy to see why they went for the tower take, or tower defense, after being able to repel Mouz's tower take for nearly 2 minutes. You got Sleben on an immediate entry in through showers, as he'll hold the doorway, waiting for any peeks to come out from kitchen, but he's got Shate in support coverage. Now, this yokai being spotted out early will be a loss to Penta, as there's really only your Valkyrie cameras and your yokais to be able to garner a lot of the information. This time around, Maestro not electing to be brought. Stun canisters being sent out once from Shate, but Bloss busting out of meeting. Split will take down Wilkie as he tries to push in through the main door. Ooh, a good hole opened up here by Sleben, but trading shots back and forth will be Bloss and himself from inside of the showers. It's Bloss coming away worse for wear, but Sleben still down to about 50 HP. Now you've got Gomfy tacking on as well. This kitchen hold is now the point of focus here for Mouz as they try to rip through each piece one by one, but it looks like Penta, they've done their job. They got their kill on Wilkie. They got their damage done onto Sleben. They're up a man. They've burnt half the round. They're out of kitchen.
I really like what we've seen out of Penta and how unconventional all of their offsite play has been. And I know that we've seen it from teams before on Oregon, but there's actually very little commitment from Penta on site most of these rounds. They are playing extremely freely everywhere that they could be on the map. And with Kid Storms, it's not weird to see defenders playing down below, but if you lose control of the site, your retake potential is very minimal, especially with a Valkyrie now playing up in T3. That C4 is usually reserved for down below, but it's going to be a lockout from Penta anyway. They pick up 2 very fast kills, and I don't really see how Penta loses this. You know, not only are you at a disadvantage in terms of your utility on Mousesports, they only have the Hard Breacher Thatcher combo that's left, but you don't likely have any drones. It doesn't appear that there's any information on Mouz's side of things. They're largely going in blind. They haven't even fished any members of Penta out from the bottom floor. Sleben will find one, at least onto Enemy, possibly looking for another, but it's Blast who will be able to outduel him, as Sleben didn't appear to know that Blast was coming for cover. Still leaving Revan downstairs inside of the washroom. The Echo's going to peek on out, but Sir Boss will get swiftly shut down, but Bonesy doesn't have a lot of time to work with. He also doesn't have that diffuser, so it's very unlikely that he's going to be able to do all that much. He finds himself in a very vulnerable position, and it'll be Hungry who will decide to cut him off and say, that's enough for this round. It'll be Penta going back and forth. Like I said, these teams tied the last time we saw on Oregon, and, well, the last time these two teams battled, they tied on Oregon. We're looking at the same thing right now.
So far, the rotation looking a little dire here for Penta as far as being able to come away with the at least tie or maybe even the lead at the half. Much less likely that they'll have the lead heading into the half and the side swap, considering that now they've got top floor locked out from their availability. Even if they win this here, they'll have both the main sites locked out and they'll have to go back to tower or maybe try something fancy on kitchen and dining, a site that we basically never see anymore, and for good reason. So it's looking precarious here for Penta. They need to start things off, though, and get this round win no matter what. And for last time, it was their tower hold that really was the difference maker. They were able to stall out Mouz on their entry. Be interested to see if at some point they can, if Mouz can bait Penta into sending that much utility and manpower into a tower take, maybe you just opt for a main stairs rush. There was nobody watching main stairs last time around, as far as Sir Boss was upstairs and over by dining in the midst of that round, and Hungry was playing the back tower stairs, as you noted. Site's empty. Maybe you can bait them into sending that much manpower again towards tower and pull an APAC off and rush down main.
I mean, when you had the Finca on the board for Mouz, that was kind of what I was thinking in the back of my mind. You know, there's some telltale signs of rushes that we see here, especially construction rushes, in which it could be shaping up for one, given the way that Mouz all just spawned over on the construction side, but it doesn't look like they're necessarily doing that. It just looks like it's going to be a pretty typical tower clear yet again for Mouz, which plays into the way that Penta has been defending. It also means that there's going to be one body all on their own going to main lobby. That's likely going to be Shate, but Shate and Gumpy have also lost a bunch of HP 30 seconds in. That might have been a potential spawn peak or some utility or explosive from one of them just going off while they were both in too close a proximity to it. It's a head scratcher for sure.
Well, looks like Mouz again, like you said, gonna be going for a tower clear. And doesn't look like there's too many members of Penta actually stuck inside of tower right now. I imagine Enemy will be the member T3 if there was one, and there isn't. Penta, yeah, they're back to a meeting hold. But Mouz, anticipating resistance, haven't gone up and actually claimed tower and worked their way over to the attic walls to punch open so they can have control of the attic to look down in towards meeting. Now they will get this game going, but they're a minute late to the party as finally got some pre-fires coming out from Comfy in towards Sandbags. It's a rough go here for Mouz. You've already burnt half the round, and you've allowed everyone for Penta to escape. There's nobody watching for flanks down towards tower windows, looking towards meeting. This is looking really good here for Penta, but the last time they did this, Mouz overwhelmed the site, completely smothered it with utility and smokes and pure firepower, and won out on frags.
Where are all these members playing off-site of Penta, though? You cannot be telling me that they have all 5 bodies down in sight. This isn't exactly a site that works all that well when you keep all 5 of your defenders watching those angles. It's very easy to get overrun, especially with utility-based operators being so prevalent on Oregon basement. You have a Capitao and a Zofia. You mentioned those asphyxiating bolts from the Capitao. They're going to be able to flush probably 1 or 2 defenders out of play. It really depends on the way that Mouz utilizes the Capitao and the Zofia. So they try right now to figure out where every single member of Penta is. There seems to be quite a bit of hesitation. Well, Comfy's going to be the first to drop. Keep in mind there's no Mira on the board as she is banned out. It also looks like there might be a Yokai down, so things will start off. But there's Enemy, and playing behind the shield is Sir Boss. He's just going to gun Comfy down, the fire and the flames in front of him, but he'll try to go through it. He'll lose his shield. There's Shate, but Revan is also on board. Laz will jump on in. Enemy taking out Bonesy, and I suppose this go for broke strategy of Mouz didn't really go anywhere. It's a late flank from Penta, and Enemy inside a meeting hall yet again. Almost as if it's his office today. We'll give Penta their 3rd round and the first time that either of these teams will win a consecutive round here in Oregon.
Like I said, though, this does lock out top floor and bottom floor from the availability, words are tough, of Penta. So now they have to go to tower. Could have gone dining room and kitchen, like I said. That's just not a thing that happens anymore. So we're going to tower. It'll be the 2nd attempt at tower here. Comfy's still bringing the Finca And I'm curious what the Finca is going to let you do on a tower take here. The Capitao is a welcome change for Wilkie. You'll be able to use those asphyxiating bolts to clear out enemy at top of T3 without those asphyxiating bolts being caught by ADSs as well. If you can burn ADSs, I guess frag grenades on Gomfy could be useful, but you could bring frags on a sledge or a buck. I guess Mouz just really enjoying the Finca. I like the benefits that you get from those adrenal surges. It's not an operator we see all that often. They've also changed up who is playing it. Earlier on, it was Sleben bringing the Finca, and now it's Gomfy bringing the Finca instead. Sleben was running a reflexed LMG. Be curious to see if Gomfy swapped that up at all, or if he's gonna stay in tandem with his superpower player team. The defense setup so far for PENTA seems about the same. Hungary switching over to an alibi, slightly different than what we saw last time around, but it really came down to enemy inside of T3. How long could you last? And he made it about half the round before those concussion-timed repels came in.
Still really like that coordination from Mouz, but I've also liked what we've seen from PENTA on a number of times here. Also poor droning from Mouz through the mid to end of a round. I don't know if they just haven't been expecting it, but there's enemy once again. He'll start things off taking out the Soul Hard Breacher, which not a necessity on tower, but always comforting to have at your disposal if need be. Sleben just chewed up and spit out on side of that tower wall. That's a damning start for Mouz.
Yeah, and you've still got enemy peeking, but he's down to about 20 HP. So Sleben has done, even from the grave, a decent enough job of hamstringing enemy here up inside a tower. He can't get aggressive any longer. There's no dock. He's stuck at 20 no matter what happens. And his asphyxiating bolt will come soaring into his back corner, but it won't do any damage. He's able to evade. Finally, though, he'll be down and finished off from Gomfy. So Sleben, even though he died early as the hard breach, is instrumental in getting that trade now at the hands of Gomfy. We got Bloss peeking up towards the T2 windows, waiting for an upside-down peek. One of these members of Mouz. Hungary could go for a run out as well, and Sirboss is all the way down inside a construction tunnel. I'm anticipating Sirboss to make some either fireworks play, or it's not going to last very long. And there come the run out. Sirboss with one, and another one for Hungary. Onto Shate, leaves Wilkie and Bonesy left alive. I
really like the way that PENTA is playing this. You know, Mouz is being really static here. They keep finding themselves in bad shape, and it's going to just keep getting worse for them. A minute and 15 seconds, and Mouz doesn't have any information because PENTA isn't allowing them to take it. Every single member of PENTA is just finding a new lane to run on here on Oregon, and Hungary will finish things off with a beautiful two-piece at the back of the tower stairs. Man, this PENTA matchup right now with Mouz is fun to watch for both of these teams, but I really gotta say, it's a little bit of Mouz just simply being inefficient on their information gathering, but additionally, PENTA finding avenues to just terrorize Mouz. It's unfortunate for PENTA that it's now PENTA on attack, because you don't really need to drone when you're on defense, unless you have Mozzie, who's not in it right now, still under review. So you have your cameras, and you'll likely be bringing something that has information. Right now it looks like it's going to be Shate with the Valkyrie, who's going to switch off to the Maestro, so you're still getting an operator who brings something to the table. And Wilkie might also have a bulletproof camera as well. It's common for teams to bring possibly a dock, possibly a mute with a bulletproof camera alongside them on a Dorm's defense upstairs. We'll see if that's exactly what Wilkie does. But the information right now for Mouz was weak. It was very weak through a number of those rounds. PENTA took full advantage of it. And if you look at PENTA's lineup, they're going to have information from Blast playing on that Blitz, who's essentially going to be a very quick mobile drone, being able to close the gap fast against members of Mouz. And if Mouz are not as aggressive as PENTA, the fear for Mouz is that they're going to be caught static again. Too slow, you get jumped on. PENTA took full advantage of that.
I think the name of the game so far has been hesitancy. Just how hesitant have Mouz been? And it's been a lot, honestly. I'm worried about how long it takes for Mouz to clear out an area of a map and then actually go in and physically take it. There's been a lot of quick comebacks from PENTA with rotates that have been afforded, and in that round it was just highlighted. It was underscored brilliantly. They clear out T3, they get rid of enemy, and yet they sit on repel for another 20 seconds, allowing PENTA to get in position to coordinate a two-man run-out. As soon as you get the power, make sure that you have the information necessary to take that power position and it was Mouz waiting around in that round that really bit them in the backside. But now it'll be Penta looking to, I guess, keep the tempo high as they're bringing out a Blitz, another operator that has seen a change in the new update on Tuesday. Really only reducing the speed at which he can flash, changing the cooldown from 2 seconds to 7. So I guess this will be our first Pro League look at whether or not that'll be wholly useful or not. You've got Wilkie downstairs inside of the bathroom right now, waiting for Bloss to turn the corner. He doesn't really do it just quite yet. He's also got Slevin to contend with in the depths of kitchen. As a Legion, he's going to be worried about those goo mines slowing down his progress. The pings will come out onto Slevin. You have to be worried with the crossfire, though. He's still got Wilkie in the bathroom, and now you can see the lineup coming up from Penta.
The other thing that Blast has to be wary of is the fact that the entire roof is torn apart. So if he walks in, he's very susceptible. Wilkie will manage to outduel the shield, but he gets caught in the process trying to get away. Look at this stack up right now inside a dining hall, and it looks like this asphyxiating bolt will be able to finish off Slevin, just adding insult to injury. Might not do a ton of damage, but when you're down, it doesn't need much to finish you off. So with a minute and a half to spare, Penta have taken control of dining hall. They've managed to flush out most of kitchen, but you still see that Mouz has presence on that main floor. And if Penta's drone is as ineffective as we saw from Mouz, which it might be, as Gomfi did not get droned out, he takes the fight against Sir Boss and wins, and Gomfi still stays in the same position, then this could go from bad to worse. That's a beautiful shot from Gomfi. Can he get the second? No, he's completely blinded, and Revan is there on what is a pretty standard kill for Revan, given the circumstances that Gomfi found himself in. But in the process, Revan still took quite a bit of a beating. You've got both the IQ and the Hibana left. Enemy does hold that diffuser, but you'll have to walk through some pretty good plant denial in the meantime. You've got the Alda still in play, you've got Evil Eye still in play, you've got Toxic Canisters from Bonesy, and then you've got Wilkie likely holding a C4 if he did not bring that bulletproof camera.
Shate pre-firing his way out of a precarious situation as he made it back to top white with ease. Wilkie, though, will finish off enemy, so now it's just Revon, last alive, coming up the white stairs. He's going to walk into a crossfire here, but it'll be Wilkie down below. Doing a fireworks round there for Wilkie and Mouz. They're able to storm and bring one back. For Penta on that round, the kitchen push. Typically, your blitz is supposed to set the tempo. Your blitz did ultimately set the tempo in that round by dying and not making any progressions in through kitchen. Like you said, those kill holes above him being detrimental to his potential progress. You still have the bathroom hallway. You can still go elsewhere. You can come in through meeting.
There's a possibility they didn't know where Gomfi was playing, though, as well. That's something to keep in mind, and if they had have taken the fight over towards bathroom, they could have run into somebody from Mouz. And this also comes down to droning. If Penta had exhausted most of their drones on that kitchen defense, essentially, which wasn't actually a defense of the kitchen, but was, you know, Slevin playing in there, then you don't have the opportunity to figure out where everybody else is. Blitz is a very frustrating operator for a lot of people to play against, but in a very well-coordinated setup with strategies there from the defense, you can thwart him somewhat effectively. And with the tools that Mouz had, they had the opportunity to do that. You know, not only was Blast a little bit hesitant to push on in because of the kill holes above him, in which you know there's going to be somebody playing in kids' dorms. You know that somebody is going to be watching you. And the moment that Slevin makes that call that the Blitz is pushing him, you are very vulnerable from above. But add to the fact that you're pushing a Legion, who has likely laid a trail of breadcrumbs of those goo mines in front of you, and if Blast goes to push and isn't successful within the first couple seconds of taking Slevin down, he hits that goo mine, and he can't really retreat because he's going to be slowed, and in order to do so, he's going to be extremely susceptible to the fire from above. I think for Penta, it was just they were trying to put even greater pressure on Slevin, which is why you saw the X-Kairos get used on the wall, possibly trying to flush Slevin out so that the Blitz didn't really have to worry about that. But Wilkie jumped out of nowhere and killed Blast before Penta could really get their ducks in a row.
So for Penta here on the attack, they'll be clearing up top floor with Bloss. Enemy still opening things up downstairs. Looks like they haven't really identified where Mouz is going to be centralizing their off-site hold. It doesn't actually look like Mouz is utilizing one in comparative to last round, where they were hard set inside of kitchen and the main floor bathroom, but it's free roam here for Penta. Shots up to the floorboards from Shate. Not going to connect onto Bloss. He's able to open up that angle in from the top of the armory stairs, but no, again, we have a 5 on site set up here on the defense in the basement of Oregon. Not really sure if enemy meant to open that up or not, but at the end of the day, timing, it can be fickle. The mute jammers will be taken away from Sir Boss as well, and the EMPs. You'll have one set of X-Kairos remaining to open up hatches. You still have to worry about Wilkie with his possible Kaid set as well. Could be utilizing Electroclaws on the hatches. Looks like, again, we're having some issue here. Mute Jammers and Electroclaws could be utilized to try and trick the hatch, but finally the main hatch will be blown wide open. A Nitro Cell being sent up from Shate as well. Not going to connect, but you can see Mouz on their 5-on-site stance, not playing too passive, so they're trying to take their shots when available.
I'm just not a big fan of sticking 5 bodies on site on Oregon basement. It did, you know, but it worked really well for Penta last time. You'll see if they're able to do the same thing on the other side of the coin, since they'll now be on attack. And they'll have to crack through this defense that Mouz has structured. You've already managed to take out both Evil Eyes and the Valkyrie camera while destroying all of that barbed wire on the stairs. So Penta have a much easier path in. It's surprising that there wasn't very much to stop Blast from getting both those Evil Eyes. It's going to be very difficult for Mouz because it's very likely that they will fly blind. So you'll see an asphyxiating bolt go on in, the smokes will go down, and Penta will likely start with the plant, but it's in Sir Boss's hands. He's not really in a position. There goes another C4, the second that will come out, and almost all the plant denial is gone at this point. Really looked like he might have been able to get Wilkie there, and he indeed will. Wilkie getting a little bit too aggressive for Mouse's tastes, and Penta will find an early advantage. And by being early, I mean in terms of this execute. There goes another asphyxiating bolt with coverage of the Zofia from above. Final smoke goes down, but where is Sir Boss? Not in quite default spot, but standing in the middle of the open, is Hungry just sprays in wildly, trying to tap away at somebody. This is going to be no chance for Mouz to be able to recover, as one body will vault on through, Blast finds him, and Penta has the successful defuse plant. Slevin will do his darndest, but it might be a little bit too late here. Every single diffuser that has gone down has been successful for the attackers. It's 3 if you count Mouse's 2 rounds, and now Penta on their 3rd. Enemy just watching the holes from above, and it's going to be almost a full sweep for Penta, but oh, don't count out Gomfy. 2 kills. Playing dangerously underneath that hatch. You see a flash go in, but it will miss. Gomfy is still completely able to see. Plays up to the stairs, but he knows he's going to have his back exposed. 2 different angles that Penta will hold basically means that Gomfy is unable to win any sort of trade. He's going to peek up too much, but he gets shut down from enemy. It was a bit of an odd time there for Mouz, where Gomfy did his best, but ultimately there was just too many bodies to deal with, and that's what happens when you stick 5 bodies on site. You cannot go for a successful retake. Every single time that Mouz tried to pressure somebody from Penta, there was another person watching on Penta's side, and Mouz languished and ultimately got shut down. That's 5 rounds for Penta to 3 for Mouz, and getting close to Mouz failing to win yet another game, and for Penta, a bit of a bittersweet victory given the fact that their chances of going to Milan were shut down earlier today.
We talk about desperation plays a lot there, and I'm sure there were a myriad of question marks, a slew in the chat, when Wilkie decided to full tilt sprint to the bottom of main stairs as the Kaid. That's a play based off of just absolute desperation and no intel. And you noted, you know, they got all the Valkyrie cameras and the Evil Eyes basically for free, able to burn out the ADSs very early on in the round, and then all your intel at that point was gone on the side of Mouz. So I imagine the call coming out for Mouz on that one from Wilkie was, I'm going to try and make a play. And it's actually miraculous that he made it all the way to the bottom of the main stairs and wasn't cut down from any of the members that were playing upstairs by the hatch. But ultimately the call came out, and he wasn't able to do a whole lot. And that was kind of the round in a nutshell for Mouz. Just not enough intel anywhere. They didn't know where plant was coming from. The smoke's obviously doing a really, really good job of disorienting any of the members that were still downstairs by like the laundry rotate. And like you said as well, the 5 on-site setup coming out from Mouz. You allowed so much map control for so free so early. At that point, they're going to be able to bait out all of your possible plant denial utility. And at the end of the day, it wasn't even all that much utility to stop plant.
Whether it was an EMP that cleared out the ADSs, because it didn't look like it was any flashes, because we saw just the immense amount of flashes that were dumped on in the post plant from Penta. Those Evil Eyes fell very early on. A C4 expended extremely early as that main hatch opened up. And then a second C4 goes out, which is a good read, but it was a little too early. There was just no plant denial that was ultimately there for Mouz, and I understand that you want to keep bodies on site, but you're a little bit too liberal with the amount of post-plant, or amount of plant denial that you used in both the pre- and post-plant.
So we go to a kitchen and dining defense. I said this doesn't really happen all that often. It doesn't, but hey, nonetheless, we find ourselves with Mouz, and I guess, again, in mirroring the theme of last round, which was desperation, they're desperate. They're looking for a round here to at least get themselves that 1 point we talked about. As soon as they get 1 point, they don't have to worry about auto-relegation for the rest of the season, and they're in the driver's seat as far as their fate is concerned. For the drones coming out for Penta here, you're trying to establish where the offsite members are for Mouz yet again as they keep switching up the playbook, whether going from on-site to off-site. We finally have an ADS that's in position to block out this Evil Eye from being destroyed so swiftly. Flashbangs will still rain in now, and you hear the stun canisters come out as well, as that Evil Eye is not long for this world. Hopefully Shate having a second one placed close by. Still have purview in towards your default plant spot on Kitchen. But outside of that, again, not a lot of planting now going on here. These Valkyrie cameras continuously being sent out and spotted now. Bonesy not having a lot of luck with his intel, and you can hear that be dispatched of with ease. You've got 1, 2 nitro cells maybe, although Wilkie actually looked like he was bringing a bulletproof camera earlier. So there you might only have 1 nitro cell and 1 Evil Eye left to stall out plan.
The fact that there's an Evil Eye that will remain up because of that mistake from Penta's side, unable to clear that ADS in time, that could be huge. That really could be a major difference maker here, especially with the way the default plants go down. So there you go. Enemy will manage to survive a nitro cell. Good coverage from Sir Boss. He'll find the down onto Bonesy. EMP will go on in. Slebin cuts down Blast, but it's another successful plant. Keep in mind, 100% success ratio if you get the diffuser down. It'll be match point for Penta if that number continues. Sir Boss down as it looks like Revan will take out Wilkie too, but Shate wins that fight. They're going to go back and forth, back and forth. A 2v3, but Bonesy falls now, and it's essentially a 2v2 with Sir Boss still immobile. Just watching the hole inside a small tower with Revan there to guard him. Whether Hungry's going to be recalled or not, he's going to come closer and try to watch the bathroom window. He's over by lockers and showers. Revan still just holding tight. It's a run out, but you get caught down. It's going to be a 1v1. Shate versus Revan. Shate trying to bait it out, but there's not a lot of time here. This should be very easy for Revan, and he'll finish things off. Penta securing themselves 1 point against Mouz, who will still need 1 point in order to guarantee that they will not be auto-relegated, but also can kind of rest on either Secret or Na'Vi losing their matchup to try and avoid that, then get by with a little help from their friends. Penta, once again, proving that this coordination on this team and the fact that they are playing a little bit unpredictable on defense and some of that carrying forward onto attack is, for the time being, largely flummoxed Mouz and not really allowed Mouz to know exactly how to tackle what Penta is throwing at them.
Yeah, plant denial in that round really just non-existent on the side of Mouz as well. Worried about the setup overall, and that's kind of why Kitchen and Dining doesn't get played all that often, is because you have to invest that kind of utility and manpower and reconstruction from your operators just to get the site to a defendable point so you can sit in favorable positions without being immediately shot from somewhere like small tower outside of showers windows. At that point, there was no smoke on the defense. There was 1 nitro cell left, and it did half the damage onto enemy while he was trying to go for a plant inside of the couch. There wasn't enough there to stop the plant and even stall it out, and Penta identifying that and taking that weakness all the way home for a round win, and now they've secured themselves another point in the standings. Like you said, they lost their availability to go to Milan, not just today, but a while back too. It's kind of just who wants a better standing position between 3 and 6 for the rest of the season. For this defense, though, to try and round things out for Mouz, as they're trying to stave off the elimination and the loss early on in this game. They could still push this deeper into a game, maybe all the way to a 6-6 or a 7-5. You got Slebin going for a spawn peek, and he can't land a shot onto Revon. Now his location is going to be identified here. Good patience here from Bloss and not pop the window immediately as the pre-aim from Slebin was waiting on it. And Slebin will be able to escape back to Kitchen and Dining. Now you know you've got at least 1 member on the main floor.
Could have possibly set a major tone for the round there if Slebin hadn't been able to connect. It was a bit of patience on his part, and bad patience, so to speak. He pulled that trigger a second faster, and you take out the IQ, who, when you look at the way that a dorm setup goes, that IQ is not necessarily going to be needed fully for her utility, especially with the way that Revan has been playing. So, yeah. A spawn peek is, you know,
it's a thing.
It's always good. But with the way that Penta, it will likely play this. They have the tools to push in through the generator wall, through Master Closet if they want to, but I mean, for the time being, I would imagine that it's probably going to be a clear from below and then a push into kids' dorms. I'm not sure what that was.
You good, Revon?
Revan is okay. Still trying to figure out if there's anybody playing down below. Now, these goo mines will likely give a good indication to Revan, whether there's a drone or not, that there's going to be somebody playing downstairs. And indeed there is. There's 2 bodies. We can see from the silhouettes, one of which will be Sleben, and he's going to be the very first kill. He gets into a bit of a tussle with Blas, but Blas walks away. Still head held high, 70 HP lower, but with an important kill. Gomfi takes out Blast. There wasn't that much left of him. And Gomfi will still just remain downstairs. Oh no, but he turns his back to Revan, and that's a very easy kill to give Penta another advantage here. Mouz deciding to go for Broke, as they are just playing very loose. Once he taking some damage from that asphyxiating bolt, he'll drop through the hatch, and it looks like kids' dorms might actually be completely clear. You can swing on in as Penta. Have to be wary of any holes that are in the ground. And Shate playing a rotate hole next to the reinforcement. But this is an easy situation to possibly wallbang Shate through the mattress. He's going to take some damage as that asphyxiating bolt continues to grow, but he'll get away. Scot-free. Not quite. Very low on HP. This is bad for Mouz, and it looks like, as all things are going to according to plan for Penta, that this will be an end to this particular matchup.
Last thing to worry about here is Bonesy downstairs. You have 2 of your SAS operators downstairs, and they'll be the last 2 remaining. Both those Evil Eyes are opened up now by the EMPs, and they'll both get shot with ease from Penta. You've got Hungry carrying the diffuser, a retreat coming up top white stairs in just a moment's time. Wilkie looks like he prepped a nitro cell, and he'll land a nice shot onto enemy inside a generator. The plant going down from Hungry. In the midst of smoke is Sir Boss in the windows as he lays cover on Overwatch on his rappel. You've got one flanking from the master hallway. That was Bonesy. They've gone all the way around from top white through generator. You've got Wilkie on the mute as well, waiting to retake back into the objective. Hungry trying to lock down the main hallway and white stairs simultaneously. His pings will come out on the defenders. Looks like that is the nitro cell from Wilkie sent out, and he'll claim the life of Sir Boss. Down to a 2v2, but time not the friend of Mousesports and the remaining 2 SAS operators. SMG-11s will be in hand as they try to press up. Locking down from one bomb chassis and transferring to another target. Hungry will lock out that one for Penta, and that is a 7-3 victory for Penta Sports. Mouz will drop yet another game in the second half.
Liked a lot of what I saw there from Penta. Quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit of what I saw. And you know, the whole issue with dorms is that it's very difficult to retake it. We say this every single time Oregon comes up, but I think it's always worth mentioning that retaking kids' dorms when you have full site control is very difficult. If you're an attacker watching that diffuser and there's more than one of you left, there's really high odds that you'll be able to hold on. If you're a defender in a 2v4 with the diffuser not down, trying to stave off a push from the attackers in the dying seconds, you have a lot of advantages. It's just because of the claustrophobic side of the actual site itself. The fact that a number of the walls cannot be shot through, so you don't really have to worry about bullet pens, and you have to rappel in or jump in through most of the ways into the actual site. Think about the double windows on kids' dorms or the big window that leads to the main dorm area. You're very vulnerable and exposed when you do that. So with that said, Penta, they're not going to be able to make it to Milan, but they still pick up 3 big points to keep the top race in Europe close and maybe possibly even finish in 3rd overall, really depending on what happens with Chaos and G2 in that matchup later today. There won't be any interviews today due to some technical issues, so if you wanted to hear from the stream and now possibly Penta, we apologize. But because of that, we have a break ready for you a little bit quicker than usual. So we'll throw to a break and then we'll come back with our 3rd matchup of the day in just a few minutes.